Max Kepler appeared to aggravate a hamstring injury in Saturday's Twins game. We're going to take a real quick look at that one more time and then go to Rocco Baldelli with injury updates on Kepler, Arraez, and Maeda, and then I'll come back and talk a bit more about those.
Do you have an update on Max? And then also, is there any word on Maeda and Arraez?
Yeah, first off, Kep exiting with a hamstring strain, I would call it. I would expect Kep to probably miss some time with him already dealing with this, really for the last few weeks. And then, it kind of going a little south today, of course. I don't think he's going to be out there in the next few days. I could see it as a potential IL type situation for him. So we'll continue to work through it. I believe we're going to get some imaging and get an MRI on the hamstring and start there. Louis is going to be, I would say, at least a couple of weeks with there's some sign of a subluxation of the shoulder. He actually played through this for a short period of time, but the pain, we didn't believe initially that was part of it, but the imaging that we got on him showed some signal there, and we need to make sure we take a step back and make sure that we allow him to heal and rehab this properly. And Kenta's bullpen was not at 100%, so a tough bullpen to really get a read on, but I do think that we're going to continue to take Kenta slow at this point. I don't think he's going to make another appearance out there in the bullpen and then get him out there in a game. So he could be a little bit longer than the original timetable.
What's up? This is Tom. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As you heard from Rocco Baldelli, Max Kepler, it's a possible IL situation. So he might be going on the injured list, joining Byron, Buxton, and Jay Cave. So there you had, you felt pretty good with your center field depth coming into the year with Byron, Buxton. Max Kepler's played there a bunch, Jay Cave. All those three guys could be on the injured list. Buxton and Cave are already there. Kepler could be joining them shortly here. Rob Refsnyder has been a savior, basically, for this team, coming in and filling in center field, a position he's never really played, and playing well there and hitting. So he will continue to get the reps in center field, I'd assume, with Max Kepler out. But this does cause some depth concerns, most definitely, with the Twins right now, because as you're already to Refsnyder, who was your emergency guy anyway. Now Kepler, who is the only other guy on the active roster who really has any center field experience, he's going to be either unavailable for a few days. That's best case scenario, it sounded like, or potentially hitting the injured list himself. So what are the Twins going to do? What are they going to do with all these injuries? The other guys, other than Refsnyder, you got Garlick, Kirilloff, Larnach. I think you've got a good corner outfield options there, which is crazy to say that, none of the opening day outfielders are in the mix. And yet the way Refsnyder's playing and the way those guys are looking, it could be all right in the outfield still. But none of those guys can really provide additional depth in center field. Garlick, Kirilloff, Larnach, they are all corner outfielders. So while there are solutions there for Max Kepler, started in right field as usual today, center field is the big question mark. And then if you keep looking down, the only guy on the 40-man roster who's really a center fielder is Gilberto Celestino. Well, he's in Double-A. He's on Wichita right now. And so is Aaron Whitefield, one of the other really legit center field options in this org. And with the weird COVID-19 protocols this year, you cannot call guys directly up from Double-A. It has to be Triple-A. That's the only minor league affiliate you can call guys up to the major leagues from because of those restrictions. So Gilberto Celestino, even though he's on the 40-man, he's not an option. So the other options would be, again, we have to look at the Saints, and there's Mark Contreras and Jimmy Kerrigan. Kerrigan is more of a center fielder. Contreras is more of a corner guy, but those are sort of org depth guys. No offense to them. They're in AAA, a step away. They might get called upon, but they're not even like a Rob Refsnyder where they are minor league veterans who have major league experience. These are two guys who don't. This is the highest level they've ever played at. Keon Broxton, we remember him having a good spring. We remember him being good for the Brewers. But unfortunately, he is off to a horrible start with the Saints. He's got a OPS below 500 an OPS below 500 for them right now, striking out like crazy, which is, not unusual for Keon Broxton, but a guy with major league experience, a guy with center field experience, maybe he's an option. But editing Tom here, just want to add a quick note on Zue Lin. He is an option in this conversation, more of a utility infielder, but he's played some outfield, even some center field in his career. He played a bunch with Boston last year, so he's got some major league experience. Brent Rooker, the other guy, he's banged up, and he's not a center fielder. I mean, we know that. Daniel Descalzo is also on the Saints. He has some outfield experience in his career, also a former major leaguer, but not a center fielder as well. Any of these guys not on the 40-man, you'd have to add them. So you'd have to take somebody off to add these guys onto the 40-man. And the Twins just took off Dakota Chalmers as a prospect to add Juan Minaya today to the bullpen. So there's already some juggling going. Anytime you have to make a move, it's always difficult, and you're risking losing someone. The Twins are now risking possibly losing Dakota Chalmers. I would bet he'll clear waivers, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Go into that too much more. So what other options out there? I mean, like I said, it's not like Rob Refsnyder was a perceived center field option before they threw him out there. Again, the guy had never really played center field in his career, and he's looked good. Refsnyder was playing outfield at least, so you feel like maybe that's not as big of a jump as what I'm about to suggest, but we did see Luis Arraez, in an emergency situation last year, play left field and hold his own with having no outfield experience, really. Could Nick Gordon potentially be a guy who they can work with? They can, Tommy Watkins deserves a lot of credit for helping, Rob Refsnyder get adjusted and playing center field. Can he work with Nick Gordon, who's on the active roster right now? To get him comfortable in center field, because Gordon can certainly cover a lot of ground. It's not always how it works. You can't just stick a fast guy in the outfield and expect him to get the job done. It's a totally different game out there, but if you were trying to find somebody with the potential tools who doesn't have a starting role, somebody on the bench to play center field, to me, Nick Gordon sticks out. And like I said, they've been putting guys out of position in the outfield, and Tommy Watkins, I think, speaking of Luis Arraez, he deserves a lot of credit for helping Luis Arraez look comfortable out there as well. So could he kind of work his magic with Nick Gordon? Maybe, but, Gordon, Simmons is healthy. Polanco is healthy-ish, healthy enough to be playing. He's been having his ankles bother him, but he's been out there and he's been looking good. So hopefully he can play more often than not. So, Nick Gordon maybe providing just some backup in the middle infield. And then also, if he could just be even an emergency option in center or get acclimated to that position, it could help this team a lot now. But also, it could help Nick Gordon's career a ton as well. Just looking at where he is in the Twins org, he doesn't really have an immediate option that's coming. And, next year, Royce Lewis coming back into getting healthy. He's got a torn ACL this year. Getting back healthy, coming into the mix, that's going to kind of muddy up the waters for Nick Gordon even more. So, he's been playing a lot of shortstop, more second base lately. If he can also throw some outfield, some center field into his repertoire, that could really help his career as a bench player, as a utility guy going forward. So I think even outside of this emergency situation that the Twins find themselves in, it could make a lot of sense to just get Nick Gordon some time in center field, regardless of what else is going on. Now you have all of this going on, and it's like the situation is screaming to get Nick Gordon a look out there and just see how it goes. So that's my idea. That's my suggestion. And now the other thing I will say is they need to get either Celestino or Aaron Whitefield into AAA as soon as possible, in my opinion, to have those guys at least they're eligible to be called up in a situation that calls for it. And, maybe it's time to cut ties with Keon Broxton, if he wants to play every day. And if calling up one of those guys is going to prevent that, you may just have to move on, because if you're not calling on Keon Broxton in this situation where you have so many guys out, then when are you going to call on him, at that point? So you kind of you got to look at the situation and act accordingly. So we'll see how that all goes. But it might feel like the Twins have a lot of injuries, and they do, but I want to point out there are teams like the Mets that have like 16 or 17 guys in the injured list. That is not an exaggeration. The Mets seriously have that many guys in the IL. And then just want to, this seems weird to have to say, but appreciate the updates from Rocco Baldelli, because there's some managers, Joe Girardi of the Phillies, who don't feel like giving injury updates anymore, I guess. So tip of the cap to Rocco. I guess we have to thank him now for that. In 2021, we have managers just not telling, not giving injury updates. But hey, again, this has been Tom. Thanks for checking this out. If you want more Twins talk here on YouTube, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, leave me a thumbs up. Best of all, if you want to keep talking, you got takes on these injuries or what the Twins should do, go down in the comments, and we usually have some good comments, some good ideas from people down there as well. So check those out. Again, we'll talk again soon.